Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 49 of Buds and Blue Jays. I'm your host, Jesse Burrell, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Riley McConnell. And Riley, the Blue Jays returned home after what was a lackluster road trip, and they had a 3-game series against the AL Central leading Cleveland Guardians. And Riley, they sucked again. They lost 2 out of 3. Riley, how are we feeling? A tough series against Cleveland here, a series that I really thought we were going to do well in, and we didn't. So what are your takeaways here from this series?
Well, Jesse, as you know, I was pretty riled up on Friday night, so I enjoyed the games, watched that, and had a couple pops. And I was so mad. I phoned Jesse. It'd be probably best he didn't pick up. I would have talked his damn ear off. But boy, I was ticked. I mean, Saturday we did a little bit better, and then today it's just another kick kick to the face. Right? We get outscored again by more than 5 runs. Or 5 runs. We score 4 runs in the whole series. Like, I don't know. How are you supposed to feel after this, Jesse? Like, it would be one thing if our batters popped off and had a huge assortment of home runs and doubles and all this stuff, and if our pitching was poor. But no, we ended up just squeaking by with the Saturday game and getting blown away in games 1 and 3. So yeah, not feeling too good, man. Feel pretty crummy actually, for a lot of reasons with this ball club.
So here's the thing against this series against the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah, the Blue Jays, we ended up taking game 2, 2-1, but we lost the first one 8-0. We lost game 3 today, 7-2. Cleveland was the better hitting team all series. The Jays only, like you said, mustered 4 runs all series. The Cleveland was the better pitching team this series with Cal Quantrill and Shane Bieber today. And I forgot the other guy who pitched, but he was really good too. And then Cleveland
Tristan McKenzie,
thank you. And they played better defense than us today too. They even ran the bases better than the Blue Jays did this series. Everything that you can do to judge who was a better baseball team, Cleveland was better than the Toronto Blue Jays in this series. So the fact that we even took 1 out of these games is kind of a miracle, to be honest. And the Jays are kind of lucky that, yeah, they didn't get swept and that they were able to take 1 of these 3 games here.
I mean, of course, man. You say we're lucky we didn't get swept, but I feel as though we should never be in a situation where we feel lucky we didn't get swept. Right. Just you saying that shows you and tells us the kind of the pedigree we're at, the level of ball that we're kind of playing right now, and that we're definitely performing below the level of expectations. Like offense, defense, on the base pass, out in the field, like everywhere is just not good. The 4 places, on the field that I just named, like we are below average in all of those aspects in these last 3 games. I mean, I don't know the analytics behind the base running or the defense, but yeah, we are certainly not performing well. And this is a team, that is a good ball club, but we should have had a much better time against these guys in our home field.
No, I agree. It was tough to see. Game 1 of the series, the Jays lost this game 8-0. Jose BERRIOS gave up 8 earned runs in his 4 innings of work. And honestly, it looked worse than it felt than that there. Jays could only get 1 hit off a Canadian Cal Quantrill. Vladdy did get another hit, though, to extend his hitting streak, I believe, too. It was 22 games at that point. Game 2, this is the game the Blue Jays won. They won this game 2-1. Mitch White gave up a run in the first, but settled in nicely throughout the start here. Jays got solo home runs from Matt Chapman and Teoscar Hernandez, and Jordan Romano came in and got the 4-out save to seal the deal and the victory for the Toronto Blue Jays. Game 3 that happened this afternoon, Kevin Gausman gave up 9 hits and 5 innings pitched. The defense, too, was quite bad behind him. A lot of plays, infield hits, and a lot of guys were the Jays just missed it or throwing errors from behind the plate or whatever it was. And Jays were able to muster a few hits, but couldn't get many runs together. So after this series, Riley, the Jays sit at 61-52. We're 10.5 games back at the Yankees. We're still in the top wild card spot. Excuse me. I believe we're tied with Seattle now, or Seattle's currently losing against Texas. So we'll see how that game ends up. And we're still 2 games up on Tampa Bay and 2.5 against Baltimore. But honestly, there's a lot of teams right in this touch race. So Jays are still in a good spot, but if we keep playing like this, then it's going to be tough to keep our spot in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, we're in a great spot, man. We've been in a good spot for a while, but like you said, like if this trend continues to happen, if we don't find a way to get out of this rut, like we're in big trouble. We're playing against hot ball teams right now. That's Seattle and Tampa just had a hell of a game. I believe that their starter Drew Rasmussen took a perfect game into the 9th. Like we're playing against hot ball clubs, and less than 2 runs a game over our last 3 against the Guardians, and then you take into account our pitching 2 out of the 3 games in the series. It's absolutely it's atrocious. They're garbage numbers, man. Like if you looked on we'll get into the numbers here more, but some of the numbers are appalling, man. They really are, dude.
Yeah, we'll touch on the pitching performances a little later in the show. But Riley, before we get into our thumbs up, thumbs down, I got a few stats I want to throw at you, and I want to feel if you're concerned about any of these.
Oh, I probably will be. I know the trend. Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Jesse.
All right. Well, the teams in the standings that are close to the Blue Jays right now: Baltimore, Cleveland, Minnesota, Seattle, and Tampa Bay. The Blue Jays do not have a tiebreaker against any of those 5 teams. Do you think that's going to matter at this point in the season?
No, I don't. I a little less concerned about that. I really think that if we can continue to stay 9 games above 500 or 10 games above 500, I think we'll be okay for the first or second wild card spot. Of course, we want the first wild card spot.
We want to be at home. Yeah,
we want to be at home. I'd say it doesn't matter as much.
Okay, that's kind of my thoughts on that too. It's just, it sucks. Because if we are tied with, say, that second one, they will automatically get above us, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And then another one I have, coming into today's game, the Blue Jays were 29-39, so now we're 29-40 against teams with an above 500 record this season. Does it worry you at all that the Blue Jays have not been able to perform against other winning teams on the season?
Yeah, that's a bit like the bully, right? You kind of pick on the weaker guys, and we're certainly taking advantage of the teams that shouldn't be winning ball games. But against our closest competition, we're losing games. Yeah. I mean, the Guardians are right up there. Like Baltimore's been like a scorching red hot team as of late. I forget all about the Orioles in this wild card race because they started the year off so poorly, but they're one of the hotter teams in baseball right now. I mean, yeah, definitely, dude. It's a dogfight right now.
Yeah, and that's all you're going to see in the postseason too, is teams that are above 500, teams that are good teams. And unless something dramatically changes down the stretch here, maybe the Jays get some better BABIP luck or we get a surprise out of nowhere. I think as of right now, it's tough to say this team is going to be quite successful in the playoffs. But for what it's worth, we're still a ways away from getting there, and lots can change between now and then. And let's hope it does for the better, because we want to see this Blue Jays team make a good World Series run this year. It's gonna have to, man. I mean, we'll get through this episode, but I'll kind of be eating my words from the last one. My expectations were pretty high, and this might be one of the farthest off ones I was at. I did say one of our starting pitchers would blow up, and I was right. But, I wasn't even preparing for the worst, man. And now you think about how good the teams in that wild card race are doing, and the Guardians, one of them, man. It's scary. Like, we really got to get our act together, or we're not going anywhere, dude. I agree. It's going to be tough to see here. Let's get into our thumbs up, thumbs down, Riley. And where do you want to start? Do we want to start with some positivity here and something good thing that the Jays did, or should we just dive right into Jose BERRIOS right away?
No, I mean, it's fresh on my mind right now. I want to start off. Like I said, I phoned Jesse up on Friday night. I'm glad he didn't pick up, because I was probably not going to make a whole lot of sense. And I was just going to go on and basically say that we need to DFA Jose BERRIOS. Now, do I mean that on a Sunday afternoon? Probably not as much as I did on Friday night. But man, what a sour taste in your mouth after that performance, dude. Yeah. Schneider and Walker let him hang out to dry, man, but he's got to be way better. He has got to be way better. And I looked at it, and I know Jesse's usually the number guy here, but I mean, I spent a good lot of time on BERRIOS's baseball reference page, and I looked at some of his previous stuff, 2018, 2019 stats, twice an All-Star, and you look at those stats and you think, wow, did he ever do a good job? Like, I could see why he was an All-Star. And then we move in the years 2022, Jesse. We got Jose BERRIOS in a trade from Minnesota in 2021. At the time, I thought, great trade. BERRIOS, and he had good splits last year between us and between Minnesota. And coming into this year, we were at the Dome for that first game. We got through the first game, but man, we've just hit rock bottom with Jose BERRIOS. His earned run average is the worst out of qualified starters in all of baseball, which is hard to believe, man. I can't even believe it. And sometimes it feels worse, man. And not only that, he's given up the most home runs. That's 26. I mean, that's also an unexcusable number, man. And at this point, he's tied his career high. Wow. For home runs given up. And I mean, we're not even like, that number could be 30. I hope it doesn't. because we'll get to talking more about where we're going to put him, but I mean his leash is short. In fact, like I'm crating Jose Barrios. Like if it's talk about dogs and leashes, like he's going into the kennel right now and just kind of figuring stuff out. I'm really disappointed in Jose Barrios. I think I had him going into this year as our first or second starter for statistics. Him and Manoah would be the guys to carry this team, but Barrios is nowhere near expectation. I mean, I don't know how the stars aligned on this season, but I don't think anyone could have predicted that it was going to be this bad with Jose Barrios, Jesse.
There were some people out there too who thought Jose Barrios was going to get Cy Young Award votes this year. They really I will say this about Berrios. I didn't love the trade when we got him, but mostly I think that was because I'm a prospect hugger, and the fact that we gave up Boston Martin and Woods Richardson there. Now that turns out to be okay. But Berrios always seemed like the guy in Minnesota who was one step away of becoming a true ace, and he never got there. He never took that one step. But when he came to Toronto last year, and then he pitched really well in that second half, my kind of thought process kind of turned on Jose Berrios too. I thought he could be a much better pitcher, and the fact he hasn't this year has just been disastrous. And a lot of it comes down to the demise of his four-seam fastball. And I think the team knows this too. They've had Berrios trying to throw a lot more sinkers this year. They've adjusted where he stands on the mound, and they haven't really had a lot of success. The only big takeaway I can really see is that Jose Berrios, his release point, has kind of changed throughout this year. He's throwing it lower to the ground than he has in years past. But even then, I don't think that's going to affect it at all. And if you looked at the numbers, since the 2020 season, no MLB pitcher has had a less effective four-seam fastball than Jose Berrios.
It shows, man. Velocity dips off, and when he's pitching the four-seamer in the zone, it's just getting absolutely whacked. I mean, there's a reason he's given up so many home runs. He's being hit around. Worse than any starting pitcher that's qualified, right? With those numbers, the way, out of 28 qualified starters or whatever it said, and then I'm looking at his Baseball Reference, and I can't believe that he is 8-5 right now. For what it's worth, he has a positive winning percentage. But other than that, man, it's just been a terrible time for Jose Berrios. I mean, something's got to change, man. And this is a huge thumbs down. This might be our biggest, double thumbs down, you name it, of the year, dude. And we could have gave him, thumbs down for whatever previous starts, but this is it's an accumulative thing, right? Like we're at this point in the season where like his ERA is going to finish above 5, and he has had sub 4 ERAs in the past. I think he sits around probably on average a 3.75, 3.85, somewhere in that range, like high threes are in run average. But yeah, nowhere close, man. I mean, we're talking almost a run and a half more. And this year has just kicked Jose Berrios right in the butt, man. And a lot of fans, me and you included in this, are quite disappointed in how this has worked out.
So the Jays kind of were, they used the rain out on Wednesday to give Berrios the first start here at home because he's been much better at home throughout the season. Well, that didn't work. That wasn't the issue here either. And, I don't know what we're going to do with Jose Berrios going forward here, because a lot of people will say, well, he's second on the team in quality starts. Like when Jose Berrios does put it together, he pitches really well. But I don't think you can take the chance that just a blow up can happen at any reason. And I'd almost say that that the blow up starts has been happening a lot more frequently than the times he's consistently put it all together. So what do we do with Jose Berrios going forward here?
Well, I'll tell you what, because I could talk about this guy because he didn't start in this series. But him and Kikuchi have been so bad as of late. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm almost tempted. So we got Ross Stripling, who is hopefully coming back here real soon. And we had talked before the episode, the 5-man or 6-man rotation. I say we take a week, 2 weeks, and figure something out. Now, Berrios is usually a guy who starts 32 games in a season. This year, he would have started 33 being in the opening day starter. But I think you almost got to spot start Kikuchi and Berrios depending on the situation and roll with the 4 other starters, Stripling included in that, and also Mitch White included in that because, he pitched fairly well in the series. We'll get to that. But there's a real cry for help, man, in the pitching category, and BERRIOS, and I'll throw Kikuchi's name in there. I already did. I know he didn't pitch this series. I'm not poo-pooing on him, but it kind of seems to be the trend, man. Those two are the culprits of bad starts. If you kind of, spot start either one of them, for a couple weeks, give them the one start out of 10 games and see where that leads you. Obviously it's not ideal, man. Like, we're paying them both a boatload of money, and they're going to keep making that money. And so I would like to see some results, but until then, that's kind of what I think, Jesse. I know you're probably more apt to say 6-man rotation, but I mean, it's also hard when you got Manoah. You want Manoah to throw as much as he can in there. I still want to see what Mitch White can do. Like, it's a situation that we're not happy with anyways.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wonder if they're going to see if Jose Berríos, maybe he has that neck strain issue that Trevor Richards had this year, that Yusei Kikuchi had this year, maybe just to give him a little bit of break, because honestly, there's nothing in Jose Berríos' numbers here that make you optimistic that he can turn it around and he can get better. It's just a lot of people are screaming at the track record, and he's been this guy before. But at what point does a few bad starts turn into a bad season, right? And that's kind of where we are with Jose Berríos. I think it's almost time. Maybe just let him go off the shelf. Maybe do a few rehab assignments to see if he can get better and see if he can pitch for this team in the playoffs. Because if he has to make a start for us in the playoffs, I am not confident right now that the Blue Jays can win that game.
Jesse, he had a career high strikeouts with 204 last year. Just want to throw that out there. Yeah, I'm not confident with Berríos if we're going to start a postseason game. It goes Manoah, Gausman, and White at this point for me. And you know what? That might change. I want to see what Stripling can do. Yeah. So it's White or Stripling. But hey, man, I mean, it takes 5 guys to make a rotation. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're sitting at right now, Jesse. I mean, let's move on from Berríos. Let's give him a break. This is a big rip, but this is a well-deserved rip. This is a big problem that our team has right now. And clearly it's, something's got to change.
We had a lot to say on Berríos, so that makes sense there. Another thumbs down, though, I wanted to give was our defense was quite bad today in this series. Alejandro Kirk made an error trying to throw a runner out at second. He had a pass ball on him as well. Quite a few routine ground balls that base runners were just beat out. I know Espinal had one. There was one to Chapman today as well. Vladdy made a tough play on a ground ball, but then couldn't get the throw out to go feed to Kevin Gausman today. Tapia had a ball bounce in front of him, then got over his head, which Teoscar had to feel. Kevin Biggio had a ball that was just out of his reach. Merrifield had a ball that hit off his glove and landed in front of him. Even Matt Chapman isn't completing as many plays as you'd expect from the Platinum Gold Glove Award winner. And pitching and defense are the things that lead to a team being a successful playoff team. And right now, the Blue Jays just aren't doing those things. So, yeah, thumbs down to the defense in this series.
Yeah, for sure, man. And with our track record, like you said, my guy, Matt Chapman, he should be a lot better. And I mean, I know he's under the gun too. I still want to say that Vladdy's defense has been real good this year. Mistakes will happen. But two from Kirk is kind of worrisome there. Not for the, I know that's not going to happen every game. I mean, worrisome more or less for, I don't know, his own personal numbers. It sucks when that happens, man. He's a decent defensive catcher, and we just when one guy's playing bad, I guess it just kind of got contagious and caught on to the rest of the club, Jesse.
And Cleveland's a really good team too at making you pay for the mistakes that you made, and that's exactly what they did here. That's how they scored a lot of their 7 runs. So, Jay's just something that's going to need to get better. It's something that hasn't really been an issue so far this season, but when it spikes up like it did here, it doesn't look very good. And another one, we don't have to spend too long on this. Santiago Espinal, the magic that he had at the start of the year, it just kind of seems to be gone now. In fact, he's had 1 extra base hit since July 7th. His defense has been fine, but he's been losing playing time ever since Whit Merrifield joined the team. And I'd imagine once Springer comes back this week, it's going to be a full-time bench role for Santiago Espinal. So fun story, fun guy to root for. He's still going to have a valuable part on this team, but I think his time for everyday at-bats is over.
Well, a guy, let's be honest, who we really didn't expect much from. His tenure with the Toronto Blue Jays seems to, I still want him on this ball club. It sucks that we're not going to give him an everyday role. But yeah, guys like Whit Merrifield, a veteran guy. And you know what? If Espinal is coming off the bench either, I don't hate that. I mean, it's kind of sucky. He had a great start to the year, but those power numbers have really fallen off. And, I thought with all those muscles he put on at the start of the year, he looks good. He looks, ready to go. But we're at the point in the year now where we can tell what guys are doing, and maybe this is a good thing, man. This is probably a good thing. I still want him to receive probably more time on second than Biggio, and I'm sure that's going to happen.
I think you're right. It's probably Merrifield's job number one, and then whenever he needs a spell or they need to move him around, it'll probably be Espinal, the next man up. Let's move into something positive, though. The Jays did win a game this series, so some good things had to go on here, and do you want to take the first one, Riley, or should I take the first one? How do you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, I get all of a sudden, I feel like I can talk about pitchers. All of a sudden, I feel like the guy who knows nothing about pitching, I feel like I can talk about pitchers. And I crapped on our guy who started game one. I mean, I guess I'll give a thumbs up to Mitch White, who came in game two and shut the door. Well, I say shut the door. I mean, 4 2/3 of an inning, he gave up 3 hits and 1 run, striking out 3 and walked 3. Man, a lot of threes on that line score.
Sure
so.
Is.
Not an excellent outing, and he didn't go very far. But let's be honest, when we're handing out some pretty, gifty thumbs up in this series, and Mitch White got us to where we need to be, and you'll tell us why we won that one game with our next thumbs up, Jesse. But at least, hey man, at least we got a good start. I don't even know if that qualifies as a quality start because he didn't go 5 innings, but in my books, it's still a quality start. I mean, I'm playing a little bit of T-ball right here with the statistics, giving a little gifty, but I'm happy for Mitch White, man, because we had one pitcher come out to play that was a starting pitcher, and that was Mitch White. So you know what? Thumbs up to him, man.
I thought he looked better too than the line score would actually indicate there. He ran into some trouble in the first inning, but then he really settled down and he got a little better. To me, Mitch White's going to have like the Ross Stripling thing. If you look at his numbers, the third time through the batting order, teams are hitting over 400 against him. So we've seen this a lot from Ross Stripling early in the year too, where the Blue Jays would only let him go through the order twice and then they'd pull him. I'd imagine it's going to be more of the same from Mitch White. And that's why he kind of only went 4 2/3 inning in this one. But, if Ross Stripling was effective in his short stints, let's hope Mitch White can be effective as well. And as you teased out earlier, the reason why we won that game is because we got some solo home runs, one from Matthew Chapman, who is now leading the Blue Jays in home runs, by the way, which I mean, I know you and I thought that was possible coming into the season, but I think if you asked the majority of Blue Jays fans, they would have been surprised about that. And this guy, Teoscar Hernandez, needed some offensive thump, and he had one too many fastballs from Tristan McKenzie, and he finally was able to turn on one. He crushed it to center field for a go-ahead home run in the 7th inning. He also had a double in the first inning of game 3 here when the Blue Jays needed a run. So Jays only score 4 runs in the series. They're in desperate need of a run producer, and Teoscar Hernandez has been that so far this year, and in the series particularly.
Hey, you know what? Thumbs up for 50% of our runs batted in, Mr. Hernandez. I mean, I'd be happy with. I'll say we'll take it. I mean, we're gonna have to take it. Not a big plate full of food, but it's something. And another reason we didn't lose by more than 8 runs in double digits in both those games, and the reason we shut the door in game 2 was because, hey, man, our bullpen did pretty okay. Okay.
It really did. Yeah.
I'm not going to say did excellent. I'm going to say they did pretty okay comparatively to the rest of this ball club. And who did what? Our bullpen was probably the best thing this weekend for us. And I mean, we used pretty well all our arms. Jordan Romano had a 4-out save. The only guy to give up any earned runs was Trent Thornton, and basically he was in a mop-up role in game 3 of the series anyway. So Jesse, I mean, here's a dark cave that we're sitting in right now. Now we talk about the bullpen. So there's a little bit light shining in right now. I mean, it's not much. We still lost big in games 1 and 3 and squeaked by in game 2. But Jesse, it's something. And there's some positives to take away from this.
Isn't it amazing how the one piece of the ball club the Blue Jays really went to get better at the trade deadline is actually performing well here now, and the parts that they didn't are still kind of struggling? I don't know if there's much to take away from that, but yeah. Before Trent Thornton gave up his runs in the 9th inning today, the Jays went 13 1/3 scoreless innings of relief, and Jordan Romano has been nails. Jimmy Garcia gave up 2 base runners in the 8th, and then Jordan Romano comes in the 8th. He throws like 90-mile-per-hour sliders, which is just nasty, and then he got the save. And his saves by exactly 1 run are the most in baseball this year, and so you've got to say, like, those 1-run saves for a closer. Being a closer is a stressful job anyway, but if you're having to save all these 1-run leads, it's got to be even more stressful. So nails, Jordan Romano, and glad with what you've done. And all the other guys, Anthony Bass has pitched well, Zach Pops looked good too, and even David Phelps has looked really good. So the bullpen has kind of went from a moment of weakness to this team that might actually be one of the team's strengths right now. So thumbs up to the bullpen there.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy that Bass did well. I mean, you know, some of these guys in this bullpen, you don't know when they're going to have a bad day. We came as a unit, as a bullpen, and we shut the door in game 2. We limited them in games 1 and 3. And I'll take that. If I have to smile about something, Jesse, it'll be, you know, guys like Romano doing his part, guys like Phelps, you know, in, you know, his declining years here in his major league service. You know, you do love to see it. I just wish we could, you know, give them a little bit more to play for, and they're not mopping up situations and things like that. You know, we like to give Jordan Romano, you know, I give him 3 outs, or sorry, 3 runs of support if we had to, man. I mean, he's in the clutch. It's a stressful job, like you said, man. And at least we had some sort of glue to hold this ball club together this weekend.
All right, well, news and notes. We have alluded on this one a little earlier here, but Ross Stripling had his rehab assignment. He was vintage chicken strip. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. He has officially been active. He is going to get the start in Wednesday's series finale against Baltimore here. Now, there's no word about what Ross Stripling's going to do. I thought, like we kind of mentioned this earlier, they would take maybe Kikuchi out of the rotation. Maybe they bring Mitch White into a swing role, or maybe they go 6-man. I don't know, but there's no official word yet. But as of right now, it's going to be Kikuchi in game 1 against Baltimore. It's going to be Manoah in game 2, and then Ross Stripling game 3. We can touch on that as we get to previewing the Orioles series here. But he will be back and in the series. Speaking of guys who will be back, George Springer was hitting off a tee and was set to face a high-velocity pitching machine today. So it sounds like if everything went well, that he will be back and he will be activated off the IL on Monday, which is huge because if you look at the Blue Jays records in games that George Springer is playing versus games that he doesn't play, Jays are about a 500 team when Springer isn't in the lineup, and they are much better when he is in the lineup. So good to have George Springer back. Maybe this team can start getting more games today. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s hit streak officially ends at, I think it's 23 games after he went 0 for 4 in the game on Sunday here. The Blue Jays are actively trying to get a spot to play a game in London, England, starting in 2024. Shai Davidi said that on the Fan 590 radio there. And the Dunedin Blue Jays threw a combined no-hitter today against the Tampa Tarpons. Kendry Rojas, Cooper Benson, Sam Ryan, and Ian Churchill combined for the no-hitter. So any major takeaways on the news and notes there?
Well, a minor league no-hitter is pretty good, right? And and you know, back to our major league club because that's where it's at. Yeah, I'm gonna love having George Springer back, man. It's gonna be good to have, you know, we got JBJ, who you know, I'm sure we'll see some highlights, you know, defensively or in whatever kind of situation. Merrifield has done all right so far, and George Springer is he's kind of, you know, one of the staples in this batting order, man. I mean, one of the best power leadoff hitters in history. And, you know, today Lourdes was leading off and he had 3 base hits, and he's continues to hold an over 300 batting average, which is excellent.
We're rooting for him to win a batting title.
I mean, hey, man, like, I'm not the manager. I'm not even going to say what I'm going to do when Springer comes back with the order. I'll leave that up to Schneider. But it's a good problem to have when one of your guys is returning from injury, right? You don't want to lose guys. It's always good to get someone back. So, man, something's got to change, Jesse. Let's hope that getting George Springer back is one of those steps, you know, towards improving this team.
Yeah, he will likely come back, probably DH for the first series against Baltimore. So it means likely JBJ or Raimel Tapia will be or Whit Merrifield will be in there at center field until he's ready to take the field. But either way, just having George Springer back is going to be a huge plus. And you know, we were kind of talking about before he went on the IL. It's like, yeah, he kind of just needs to do it so he can get healthy for playoff time. And then, boy, we see how this team performs without him. And now we're like, George, don't ever leave us again, man. We need you here on this field so that you can keep playing well.
I'm hoping so, man. Like, we got, I mean, we're going to preview the next series up right here. So we got Baltimore next. We just were talking about Deb, man. And we need Springer in the lineup, dude. I mean, Baltimore is fighting for a playoff berth just like us, a red-hot, scorching ball club. But we know we can beat Baltimore. But we also know Baltimore can beat us, too. This is a series where we got to get basically, and I love this term, off the schneid.
Yeah,
I love that. I love one of my favorite baseball terms. And right now, You could say it's John Schneider. Well, we need to get off the Schneid right now, meaning we got to figure this out because we have been playing very bad ball as of late, dude. So without further ado, Jesse, tell me what's happening to start my Monday.
Yeah, well, the Toronto Blue Jays, like you said, are welcoming those red-hot Baltimore Orioles into town for a 3-game series. Now, Baltimore's ERA is about 16th in baseball, but their bullpen ERA is 3.11, which is third best in all of baseball. So if the Jays are going to score runs, they're going to have to do it early and often off of their starting pitchers here. On offense, the Orioles are 17th in baseball, so it seems just like they're a league average team, whereas the Jays are third based on WOBA. The starting pitchers for the games are as follows. Excuse me. Yusei Kikuchi against Kyle Bradish in game 1. Game 2 will be Alek Manoah against Dean Kramer. Game 3 will be Ross Stripling against Austin Voth. And the Jays really need to start stringing some wins together here, Riley, and winning this series against Baltimore would go a long way to helping them guide themselves into a playoff push. So how do you think we're going to perform in this series here?
Well, I think that the word is, and I don't know if I've said this on our show, I think it's essential that we win this series, Jesse, whether that be a sweep or taking 2 games. Like, it is absolutely essential, dude, that we walk out of here with a good record and feeling good and riding that high, man. God, man, you would think that in the same week where BERRIOS absolutely has one of his worst outings ever, that Kikuchi's gonna come back and not replicate the same thing, right, Jesse? Like, that's impossible. Baseball doesn't, the laws of averages doesn't let that happen, does it? Like, surely to God, Kikuchi's gonna go out there and throw 7 shutout innings, right? Like, you gotta think, it's I don't know, man. I mean, I know that this is probably going to be a more high scoring series. Let's see what Strip can do too on his time back here. I know that he'll be fine though. I mean, AAA start, man, whatever. We know what he can do on the major league mounds. I'm very proud of Ross Stripling this year. He's done an exceptional job of a guy that I certainly didn't think was going to hold that starting role, and here he is. I can't believe, I'm saying this. If you were to ask me whatever point last year, earlier in the preseason, like, I'm so glad to have Ross Stripling back in this rotation. I mean, what words are we saying right now, dude? Like, I'm so glad to have him back, dude. It's a dogfight right now. Like, we got to win this series against Baltimore. Surely we won't replicate the same thing against the Guardians. I mean, like I said, the laws of averages just simply won't allow it.
I mean, Alek Manoah, the Jays have lost 3 of his last 3 starts, right? So that just doesn't happen. We usually win games. Alek Manoah pitches. Ross Stripling's back, like you mentioned. And Yusei Kikuchi, I mean, I don't want to say he can't be this bad, but yes, he can. He can still be this bad. So I don't want to say it, but we're due for just one of those starts where he gives up, say, 3 runs over 5 innings and the Jays score 6, and then we're laughing and it's going to be okay and turn it to the bullpen and we'll do just fine. So again, I'm hoping for 2 out of 3. I'm not confident though, Riley. If we lose this series or worst case scenario, we get swept, it's going to be panic mode here for the Toronto Blue Jays going forward for their playoff hopes here.
Oh, I'm not telling you what I think the series is going to be. I'm telling you what needs to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to come out of this series the victors, because it's an absolute dogfight. I don't know right off the bat who plays what against, who Cleveland's next matchup is against. But I mean, we're at the point of the year, man, where front offices and everybody is watching, other scoreboards, because it is so vital, so important. Of course, we need to win games too, but we're at the point now. I usually get to this point in September. I mean, for me and Jesse, it might be too early, but 2 weeks to go in September, Jesse and I are all of a sudden watching a Yankees-Baltimore game where the stakes in that game are huge, right? It's baseball is crazy, man. If you're a fan of baseball and you cheer for your team, but you're also watching to see how other teams do. And I'm sure, like, we're almost to that point, Jesse, where I can speak for myself. I don't know about you. I know you're a baseball nut and watch every freaking game anyways. But this is where I kind of look and see what's happening league-wide in our close division and wild card matches here, because this is baseball that really matters, dude. This is crunch time. This is the grind, and you know what? We got to perform. And it should have started last series. Should have started the series before. And if it doesn't start right now against the Orioles, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, we got to pull something out of our hats here.
It's definitely nerve-wracking time, but it's also a great time to be a baseball fan and turning down the stretch here. This is where the stuff starts to get really serious, guys. So buckle up, Blue Jays fan. Put on your magic hat or your magic underwear. do your happy dance or something, because the Blue Jays are going to need some magic here to get this team going right. And you want to be playing well going into the playoffs too. So that'll do it for our episode here today. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe, to leave a 5-star review, and let us know about any Blue Jays fans in your life. Leave a comment down below if you have anything you want to add. If you've got a lucky poem or lucky song or something you want to say down there to get some luck going. This is the Blue Jays team. Sure damn needs it. But Riley, anything else to add before we get out of here today?
Yeah, I mean, lucky things too. I mean, you even wore your lucky pants to the show today. Why don't you stand up and show everybody?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Jesse and I are going to be popping off this week, I'm sure, because it's about to get real, man.
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you again, everyone, after the Orioles series. Let's go Blue Jays. Let's hope we have some good things to talk about when we come into that one.
Thanks a lot, guys.